Hi, I'm Jamie Wright, an accredited nutritionist, and I specialise in helping people all across the world achieve their goals without silly fad diets. In this episode of Nutritionist Explained, I'm going to be discussing the role of healthy fats in a balanced diet. Before diving into the role of healthy fats in a balanced diet, it's worth understanding why dietary fat is important to our body and health in the first place. Dietary fats, also known as dietary lipids, play a range of crucial roles in our bodies. One of the main functions of fat in our body is to provide energy. Fat is a concentrated source of calories, providing us with 9 calories per gram compared to 4 calories per gram from carbohydrates and protein. This means that fats can provide a potentially longer lasting and sustainable source of energy, especially during periods of prolonged physical activity or when our calorie intake is restricted. Another important function of fat in the body is to support the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamins A, D, E, and K are considered fat-soluble, which means they require dietary fat for proper absorption and utilization by the body. Without an adequate intake of dietary fats, our bodies would struggle to absorb these essential vitamins, which may lead to deficiencies and potential health problems. Another important function of dietary fat is the role it plays in supporting healthy cell function and structure. You see, every cell in our body is surrounded by a membrane, which is essentially a kind of wall that is comprised of fat molecules called phospholipids. These phospholipids, which, to help on the visual side, look a bit like people lying side to side, more or less shoulder to shoulder, help to maintain the integrity and the fluidity of the cell membrane. In doing so, this allows for proper communication between cells, as well as the transport of nutrients and other substances in and out of cells. A somewhat similar function of fat is the role it plays as a structural component of our nervous system. Myelin, a protective covering around nerve cells, is composed primarily of fat. This is often referred to as the myelin sheath, and this protective cover helps facilitate the transmission of nerve signals throughout the body, allowing for proper sensory perception and motor coordination. Did you know that fat is directly involved in the production of hormones? Hormones such as testosterone, which we know that from a previous video that you can find here is vital to the growth of your gains. Now, speaking of vital, to highlight a final important role that fat plays in the body, it also provides insulation and protection for our vital organs. Adipose tissue, commonly known as body fat, acts as a cushioning layer around organs like the heart, liver, and kidneys, protecting them from injury and providing insulation to maintain body temperature. Are all forms of dietary fat created equal? Not quite. Some types of fats appear to be healthier than others, but which ones exactly? Just what are the healthy fats? The first of the healthy fats to highlight are monounsaturated fats. These fats are liquid at room temperature and become solid when refrigerated. We often find these in various plant-based foods and oils, making them a great addition to a balanced diet. One of my favourite sources of monounsaturated fats are avocados. Surprisingly, avocados are more than just an influencer's toast topping of choice when it comes to posting their daily brunch activities. In fact, avocados are actually quite delicious, but are also packed with health-promoting monounsaturated fats. Adding avocado slices to your salad or spreading some avocado on toast can be an excellent way to increase your intake of monounsaturated fats. Another great source of monounsaturated fats are nuts, particularly almonds and cashews. Snacking on a handful of these nuts between your meals, having a portion with breakfast, or adding to a salad can provide you with a good dose of healthy fats. Olive oil is another fantastic source of monounsaturated fats. Including olive oil in your diet can not only improve the taste of your meals, but also boost your intake of these monounsaturated fats. Other sources of these fats you may wish to consider including in your diet would be the likes of nut butters, sesame oil, and even sunflower oil. The other major type of healthy dietary fat are the polyunsaturated fats. Polyunsaturated fats are different to monounsaturated fats as they tend to be liquid at room temperature. These fats are made up of 2 or more double bonds in their chemical structure, which is what gives them their liquid consistency. There are 2 main types of polyunsaturated fats, omega-3s and the omega-6 fatty acids. These 2 types of fats are considered essential, meaning that we simply can't produce them ourselves, and so they have to be gained from our dietary intake. Let's talk omega-3 first. Omega-3 fatty acids are known for their anti-inflammatory properties, as well as a whole host of other benefits, which we'll touch on later, and can be found in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and even sardines. These fats can also be obtained from plant-based sources such as flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. It's important to highlight though that plant-based omega-3 sources don't score too well when it comes to bioavailability. However, if you're determined to go plant-based on this, algae oil-based omega-3 supplements do appear to be uniquely beneficial to increasing our omega-3 index. For reference, the omega-3 index is simply how we measure the levels of omega-3 in our blood. Omega-6 fatty acids are the other form of essential polyunsaturated fats. We actually tend to have plenty of omega-6 fatty acids in our current diet, and so I wouldn't be overly stressed about you needing to include more of them in your current day-to-day diet. In fact, the worry would be more so about having too much, as that's been associated with chronic inflammation, hypertension, and blood clotting tendency that increases the risk of heart attack and stroke. Where can you find them? Well, omega-6 fatty acids are found in vegetable oils like soybean oil, sunflower oil, and corn oil. They're also present in nuts and seeds like almonds, cashews, and sesame seeds. While omega-6 fatty acids can be converted into omega-3 fatty acids, the conversion rate is pretty poor. And so you often see vegetarians and vegans who aren't supplementing their diet having lower levels of omega-3 fatty acids. So just what are healthy fats good for? Well, healthy fats are not only delicious, but also incredibly beneficial for your overall health. One of the most important benefits of healthy fats is their positive impact on heart health. Consuming foods rich in healthy fats can help lower bad cholesterol levels and reduce the risk of heart disease. Our healthy monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats are known to promote heart health by improving blood pressure and reducing inflammation. In addition to heart health, healthy fats can also play a crucial role in promoting the health and performance of our brain. Fun fact, our brain is made up of nearly 60% fat, and consuming healthy fats can support optimal brain function. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish like salmon and walnuts have been linked to improved memory, focus, and overall cognitive function. Including plenty of these fats in our diet can help enhance our learning abilities and protect against cognitive decline as we age. When it comes to training performance and body comp, healthy fats are a must-have. Beyond providing a concentrated source of energy and helping to sustain endurance during physical activities, healthy fats in particular have a range of unique benefits for athletes and fitness aficionados. For instance, there is evidence to show that these fats help to reduce muscle soreness while contributing to muscle recovery by reducing inflammation and promoting tissue repair. There is also some evidence to suggest that including more healthy fats can also help with exercise performance. An in-depth review paper looking at the benefits and endpoints of omega-3 fatty acid supplementation in a sporting context found that athletes who increased or were eating more omega-3 fatty acids each day had improved performance outcomes in both cardiovascular and strength exercise, saturated fats, and dietary cholesterol. We've spoken about healthy fats, but now we're getting into more murky territories of difficult to distinguish kinds of fats. It wouldn't be accurate to say that they were altogether healthy, but they're not necessarily completely unhealthy either. The two more confusing members of the dietary fat family, saturated fats and dietary cholesterol. Saturated fats and the role they play in our health has long been fiercely contested. And while you can find saturated fats in many plants, you will also find them in dairy products as well as other animal-based products such as red meat. While earlier observational studies showed that people who consumed high amounts of saturated fat had higher rates of death from heart disease, more recent data has contested that conclusion. Individual lifestyle factors, the actual food sources of the saturated fats in a person's diet, what saturated fats are replacing or being replaced with in a person's diet, and more are all important contextual factors to take into account, rather than making a sweeping generalization that saturated fats are bad and we shouldn't be eating them. At the end of the day, with everything in nutrition, moderation is key. Speaking of, it's also important for us to practice moderation when it comes to cholesterol. Similarly to saturated fats, it would be inaccurate to claim that cholesterol is bad for you. In fact, our bodies need cholesterol to function properly. You see, cholesterol is intricately involved in hormone production and serves as a building block for cell membranes. What is also important to know is that not all cholesterol comes from the food that we eat. In fact, our liver produces most of the cholesterol in our bodies, and we have effective mechanisms to control cholesterol levels in our body. So what does that mean? Even if you cut out all dietary sources of cholesterol, your body will still make it, and, well, vice versa. If you were to start taking in more cholesterol from your diet, your body would simply produce less. Basically, what I'm trying to get around to is you don't have to throw out the egg yolks anymore. They're totally fine, and to be quite honest, they're jam-packed full of so many beneficial nutrients that it'd be a crime to chuck them out anyway. Just before we finish up this video, I quickly wanted to highlight the unhealthy fat, trans fats. These unhealthy fats are formed when liquid oils are partially hydrogenated, making them more solid and giving them a longer shelf life. You'll find trans fats in ultra-processed foods like your biscuits, cakes, and fried food and snacks like crisps, and within many fast food restaurants. You really do want to steer clear of trans fats where possible, as they have been found to have numerous negative effects on our health. They raise our levels of bad cholesterol while lowering our levels of good cholesterol, which essentially increases our risk of heart disease. Trans fats have been linked to an increased risk of obesity, diabetes, and even certain types of cancer. If you're going to make a concentrated effort to reduce any kind of fat, I would recommend you prioritize trans fats first and foremost. Trust me, your body will thank you for it. We need dietary fat to maintain a healthy body and mind. We also, however, need to be considerate as to what types of dietary fat we're ingesting, as well as the food sources of dietary fat that we're including in our diets. Increasing our intake of omega-3 rich fat sources, alongside prioritizing predominantly monounsaturated and polyunsaturated dietary fat sources with a moderate intake of omega-6, saturated fat, and dietary cholesterol would all be welcome focuses to have within a balanced diet. You'll also likely want to minimize your intake of trans fats, as these aren't particularly great for our health, but obviously you'll still want to have some flexibility with your diet to include the foods that you enjoy from time to time. Hopefully this video helps you to move closer to a healthy, balanced diet, and as always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Myprotein YouTube channel for more helpful content, and be sure to keep asking the team questions so that we can keep providing you with more evidence-based answers.